That comment right there just reminded me clicked so well in the beginning, Kyle. The positivity side, brother.
All right, we are going live. Live on YouTube, live on Periscope. Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to the Crypto Campfire podcast. And today we're going to be talking live with Kyle Kemper, the founder of SwissKey. Mitch, you remember Kyle from when we first met him, obviously in Los Angeles, and talk about one of the best experiences we've had in crypto. That whole conference, that whole vacation, that whole everything was just incredible.
That was just like the epicenter of the beginning. Really.
Seriously. And meeting Kyle was just the icing on the cake. And it was great because we did a little quick live stream with him. He slapped a SwissKey sticker on our background, which was sweet. Gave us a copy of his book, even signed. I should have actually grabbed it. Where do I have it? Nope.
Oh, your head's in the clouds.
My head's in the clouds. I'm gone forever. No, it was just an all-around great time. We even got he even was kind enough to record a welcome to crypto video for us, which we haven't gotten around to finish producing yet. But man, the memories are just coming back. So without further ado, Kyle, first off, welcome to the show. What's going on?
Gentlemen, pleasure to be here. And it was, I feel the same way about meeting both of you. That was a wonderful conference at CIS and you know, seeing you guys set up going, and it was just, you know, it just felt drawn to your energy to come discuss crypto and see what you were all about. And immediately I just feel like we clicked. And you know, thank you for reaching out today and saying, hey, you want to fire this up? And like, yeah, let's fire this up.
We've been trying to get it going for a little bit, but you know what? There's a reason for everything. And I think that reason will become evident as the show goes on today, for sure.
Amen.
The show does go on.
We have no real preparation towards what we're going to dive into, but I guess that's the nice thing about hanging out by the campfire.
That's right.
The whole point of the campfire is we just sit down, we start talking, we have a good time. Since you haven't been on our full show yet, so most people probably haven't heard this story, why don't you tell us how you got into crypto in the first place and what got you hooked on it when you discovered it?
Wow. Yeah. I'll try not to get too deep, but one significant event in my life that started just having me ask questions was 9/11 back when I was in high school. And then after that, I was just like, something's odd about this. And then in 2007, Zeitgeist came out, the movie by Peter Joseph. And that one really kind of rocked me. And it was part 3 specifically in it, where it kind of describes the men behind the curtain and starts going into central banking policy and maneuverings and the stranglehold that they've kind of had over civilization for the last 100 years as a result. And after that, then Ron Paul kind of came onto the scene. I read his book, End the Fed. And that really was kind of powerful. And then I was looking at gold and potentially some digital solutions for how we can move to almost a digital gold dollar. And then Bitcoin came out, and I first saw it in, I want to say it was like 2010, 2011. And initially just dismissed it, didn't understand it, didn't give it the time of day. But the first impression was had, and then more impressions kind of came around. And then in 2013, I was working at my family's restaurant in Ottawa called the Clock Tower, when a guy came in and started talking all about Bitcoin. And I just had so many questions for him, and I just asked questions after questions. And that was really the beginning of what has turned into a 7-year journey. Feels like an epic saga, to be honest. And very quickly we installed an ATM in the restaurant. The Senate of Canada caught wind of our ATM. It was the first one in Ottawa. We got lots of press when we launched it. And I ended up bringing the ATM to the Senate floor for their study on cryptocurrency. And we showed them how it worked. We had a senator buy $50 worth of Bitcoin at, I think, $400. And we had an exchange there too, and the Bitcoin ATM manufacturer. And then I ended up joining the exchange, CA Vertex. And then I got elected to the the Bitcoin Alliance of Canada, which later became the Blockchain Association of Canada, which is now the Chamber of Digital Commerce Canada. And so I served as the executive director for 5 years of that. And that enabled me a great opportunity to interface with ecosystem players and educate governments and industry associations around the technology. And I've just dedicated myself fully. I've been advising lots of different projects, helping out all over the place. And core to my whole journey has been actually setting up people. I think the Senate of Canada was a really important experience because they'd been studying it for about 7 months and they'd never even seen a Bitcoin transaction. So we showed them just how easy it was to like take a $20 bill and then send the Bitcoin back and show them. They're just like, wow, okay. Like when you actually see it work, it's really impactful. Then the next best thing is to actually receive crypto and use it and like make transactions, make a send, do an in-person send, do an in-person receive, do a copy and paste send. So to when you're not physically around them, and then it just clicks. People will understand, wow, okay, this is how it actually works. This isn't just a speculative investment vehicle. This is actually like an incredible technology that can really change the way that we look at systems and money and commerce, etc. And in this whole journey was this need for actually setting up people with wallets. And I watched a lot of friends, I'd give them some Bitcoin and then they'd lose their seed words or they'd lose their passwords. And, to this day, the user experience is getting a lot better, but there's still hangups. It's crypto works for those of us who understand it. We're good. For those who are new to it, for the newcomers, for the new coiners, it's dangerous and can be scary and confusing. There's lots of options, and oftentimes people take the simplest options, which might be a Coinbase, or in Canada, it was Quadriga CX for a long time, and then you end up getting totally burned by these centralized exchanges. So, I was presented with an opportunity last year to create SwissKey, to be the Swiss bank vault in your pocket for your money and your identity. And that's what we're building. And, we're bringing taking this symbol and bringing it to the world. And I wrote a book called The Unified Wallet, Unlocking a Digital Golden Age, which explores what's possible when we have full control over all of our keys. Our keys for money like Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies, but also our identity keys and our contracts and our stocks and bonds and the keys for our children, like their birth certificates and passports, etc. It's all going digital. And I think what we've seen right now with Corona and COVID is there's going to be an even bigger press for this. The question is, do we do this sensibly and from a self-custody, self-sovereign point of view, or are we going to let Big Brother take control of all of our stuff and us be the slaves to Big Brother? I don't think that's the right course of action.
I'd have to agree with you 100%. My concern is how quickly users latch on to what's easy. And that's why people like us are doing what we are doing and what you're doing to get the word out about why it's important to maintain control of your keys, like your guys' slogan, not your keys, not your crypto. It's the most important thing to remember in the crypto space. And so many people don't even understand that concept because they've never been introduced to it. They're so used to custodial things. That's their whole life is custodial, your PayPal account, your bank account, whatever. It's just you're trusting that company because they're, reliable based on whatever assumption you make because it's a public company. And it's also tricky on the crypto side because there's more stuff that has to be done from the user to make sure that they maintain that their accounts are safe and they keep their keys stored safely and things like that. But it's if you can educate people so that they can at least look at that path and know that it exists and know the differences between the two. If they ultimately end up making the decision at the end of the day to go custodial, that's their choice. But they had the option. And I think when given that decision, the majority of people would prefer to hold their own keys. So we got to get that education out there.
Well, and there's lots of challenges with holding your own keys, and that's been a challenge. And for those who have lots of crypto, like holding their own keys, they're looking for other partners, and there's a suite of emergent solutions for this. For the industry, there's so many different solutions that just finding them, just discovering the right solution can be very challenging.
I like to use the, your birth certificate as an analogy, or your graduation certificate. Those things that you hold on to. Why? Because they're important to you, right? They're something that you don't want to lose. So what do you do with them? You store them in a safe place. So if you think about that, the only difference is you can apply for another one. It's challenging to do, but with with those pieces of identification, you can actually, apply and try to get another one. You can't do that with crypto. But the point of the matter is, it's like at some point we have to be responsible. Yes, this has to become a lot easier, but the easier it is for the person, the easier it is for somebody to steal it as well. And so that's the biggest challenge right there. How do you make it? How is it made easy for the user, but still maintain that level of security for the user?
Right.
So that to me seems like a big challenge to get past. But once people can actually wrap your head around it, like you said, when you do transactions live, when you're standing there with the person, you're showing them how to do it. To me, that's the best way to educate somebody, and people that I know, people that I've turned on to crypto, people that I've set wallets up with, they can really grasp it a lot better when you're physically doing it and you're showing them how it operates, showing them how it works, to get a basis for how it all happens. And that's important.
Hmm. And the words have been a real challenge for a lot of the wallets, or a lot of the true self-custody wallets. Um, the words are like, there's just an inherent security risk in writing the words down just by themselves. It's a process that most people are not familiar with. Like, they just don't understand, see mnemonic. In the age of surveillance, there's always a chance that you might be caught writing down those words unless you're very careful.
Right.
But also, just associated to the words, it's just the private keys that are held under the words. It's not like your own kind of transaction memos and history. So if you lose your phone, or if you lose your wallet and then you reboot it, any like associated notes that you may have against it get lost as well. So that's something that we're working on solving, is using a username and password, which is something everybody's familiar with. But there's no "I forgot my password" option. But there is a password recovery method that allows you to set questions that only and then it emails you a token from your own mail. It never touches our servers. So we don't know who you are. We don't know what you're doing. We don't know how much funds you are. We're just providing you this self-custody integrated wallet solution that also allows you to do things like buy, sell, exchange, buy gift cards, and integrate a whole bunch of other amazing services into a vertically integrated platform. And then we've got the cards too. And I showed you guys, I think I probably gave you one of the SwissKey cards in LA, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so those cards too, there's having been using them and playing with them and thinking about what's possible, we can do interesting things. And we're looking at right now in our scope of having cards as key recovery solutions. So being able to basically pair a number of the cards to your wallet, to be able to distribute those to personal contacts in case of wallet loss, so that you can recover with a physical card, or potentially triggering, or they could potentially just use their card to help you recover your wallet, which is which is part of this emergent enhanced user experience that doesn't require the incredibly tech savvy to understand. That's what I really like about those cards, is their familiar form factor.
Mike's being weird. Having that familiar form factor is incredibly important. And, like I said earlier, users like that ease of use experience. It's all about user experience. And that's another thing that's really, really making it difficult to get adoption of crypto, is even the custodial options still aren't necessarily that great of a user experience. We're getting a lot better. I mean, over the past 2 years, things have changed so much, but there's still a lot of building left to do, I think, on that front. We've got to keep building those abstraction layers and do like you guys are doing, and try to make a combination of easy and safe, not just easy. And I think that's definitely the key moving forward.
Yeah, and also I think it's important not to not to dissuade people from entering it, and like a lot of people say crypto's just too difficult to use, like it doesn't work yet, like bullshit.
Yep.
Crypto does work.
Yep.
And crypto is very powerful, and it is not that difficult, but you need to you need to do some education. This is pre AOL internet. Uh, in
Right.
terms of where we
Yep.
are, it's not super easy to do, but it works. And crypto and Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies and blockchain is like email. And instead of sending messages, you're basically issuing transactions. And your wallets are like your email addresses, and your private key is like your password. And a lot of people didn't trust email and didn't believe in it and didn't think it was going to like actually replace the mail system. Are you kidding me? Email? Look where we are now. And that's the same way we're going to look back on this. And and again, back to like this current timing and this in this pandemic and this social pandemic that we're going through as well, and the emergent new social norms that are establishing. Like I think we're entering germophobia culture, and there's like in cash. I mean, I've been saying for a long time, but cash is disgusting.
Oh yeah.
It's just filthy, and nobody wants to receive cash. People look at it now, and especially now, it's like, ugh, gross. And I would also say, like, I just went to Trader Joe's and went shopping, and there was there in order to make the payment, it was still take the card, slip it into the machine, and then touch the screen a bunch of times. So that's just unnecessary. Whereas, like, I saw someone using Apple Pay, and it wasn't like, that's getting contactless. So we're transitioning, but do we want to lose cash? Like cash has a lot of value and benefits, like as a private currency, a very, very easy to use currency. And that's
Right.
where
It doesn't take power to transact in cash. You can physically hand somebody cash and they can physically hand you a product. You don't need the lights on for that. You don't need, transactability with a phone or anything like that. But then I guess the flip side to that is more education, but paper wallets, right? I mean, you could print out and you could have a bunch of crypto paper wallets, which equal a percentage of that crypto and use that as a cash transaction, so to speak, or a paper transaction if you really wanted to, if it came down to it, right? But it's going to be a tough transition but I feel it's one that almost needs to happen. If nothing more than the sake of you're listening today, we're going to printing trillions and trillions. There is no end. It's an endless pit that we have to pull from. We have endless resources when it comes to making cash available to people and businesses and blah blah blah. I can't wrap my head around that. I just can't. It's like, so where does the value come when you can just consistently make more of something? How does it maintain any kind of value other than what the people put into it?
And that's just it. And the printing press and the digital printing press is running full steam, and it's going to keep running full steam.
Yep.
And there might be a little bit of a difference this time versus say 2008 in how it works, and and in the early 2000s of how the printing presses went bananas. And then in that they're talking about figuring out a way to directly distribute to everybody in terms of like helicopter money actually like hitting the people directly. And with digital money, it's very easy, very possible to do that and have direct settlement, which is a massive improvement from the way that it was done previously, which is let's give it to all our bankers and let's bail out the banks on this. And it's just shown that those closest to the central bank are the ones who benefit the most from quantitative easing. And if we all can be in direct contact with the central bank, great. Then we can receive it directly, and that actually like creates some interesting hypotheticals about what could be possible. But if they give everybody $10,000 or $100,000, what would happen to all the debt out there? And the money supply. But anyways, like just finishing on the point about the cash is crypto is cash. Crypto has that same ability. Yes, Bitcoin is not as private as cash, but some of the other protocols are as private as cash. But the key thing about it is when you give it to somebody, they have it. You can't undo it. And that's like, that's different than Venmo or PayPal or a bank transfer or an ACH or an EFT or an e-transfer in Canada. All those things are all just reverse pull kind of systems, or especially the credit system. Whereas crypto, we have direct cash. Like this is e-cash. This is the ability to give it to someone, and then once they have it, if you sent them too much, if you gave somebody too much, you'd have to ask them to get it back. And the same thing is true here. There's no support line that you can call to issue a complaint and have it undone.
Well, you'd think it would just eliminate a whole ton of fraud when it comes to merchants, merchants and their chargebacks, how much money merchants actually lose on a yearly basis, due to chargebacks is astronomical. And I don't think the average person really understands or realizes that.
No, I think, like, given everything, like the chargeback rates are going down now that the credit cards, but the fees aren't going down so like the fees that those are meant to cover aren't also going down. Yeah, and then they're like for the merchants too. Like there's bigger opportunities. Like one of the major things that I see an opportunity for is rethinking taxation and rethinking the way that a lot of taxation models work. Right now, like, I'll speak to the restaurants that we have in Canada. We act as the tax collector. We act as the tax collector and the custodian. We are forced to act as that because in Canada we have a 13%, HST, harmonized sales tax. So if our bill's 100, we have to charge 113, and then we end up holding on to that $13 and with the promise to remit it later. With digital currency, like poof, you can just do a split transaction and send the business the 100 and send the government the 13, and just make it totally simple and make it like remove that enormous liability that gets placed on businesses and small business owners. Because like, I think for a lot of people, and think about times like right now, if people are sitting on a bunch of of consumption tax money and they're all of a sudden their income streams might have dried up, it's going to be very tempting to draw from that pot, which could just lead to further problems down the road. So I say, no, let's just fix this bullshit system that puts all the liability on the businesses and use this technology. And it doesn't have to be Bitcoin. Yes, it can work with Bitcoin, but can also work with a stable coin. It can work with USDC. It can work with Tether. It can work with, the emergent Fed coin or the CAD coin, or whenever these guys get their act together and decide, okay, let's do this. Like, it's time. It's going to take some cojones from them to do that. Because they're going to piss off all their big banker friends who have a full monopoly over digital money in the retail space. But that monopoly's been broken.
Well, I mean, we're finally seeing people having a little bit of cojones in this whole situation and actually doing something. I mean, they're shutting down whole countries and moving the Olympics and all that stuff. I mean, I think at this point it's become a big enough catalyst that that type of thinking is no longer out of the question. Those big extreme moves are no longer not ever going to happen. It's finally become time where we actually start considering some of these massive changes. And now that we're in this situation, we have a whole lot of a visual on what the future needs to look like. We've seen what a contactless society can prevent. I'm not saying that we need a contactless society. There's so many downsides and bad things to that. So I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole, but creating a balance, we've got all this self-driving car technology that's emerging. It's still very young, obviously, but we talk all the time about having your stuff delivered to you by autonomous methods, whether it's a drone or a self-driving car or whatever it might be. You got to have money that goes with that, right? You can't, sure, we could use the banks as they are right now, but when you have microtransactional abilities, it takes things to the next level. And now we're starting to see all these systems that we need to bring together and fully adopt. We can't do it in part like we've been doing. We've been like shying away from change for way too fucking long now. And it's time to just say, God damn it, let's do it all, make the change, and actually bring ourselves into 2020. Because let's be honest, we're still living in the freaking 90s.
I mean, I think we're living in 2020, but
It's the 90s, man. It's the 90s.
Sometimes the mindset
But we
seems as
are
old as that.
we are reliant on archaic systems.
Yes.
Systems
Yes.
that haven't seen innovation and that are like, we're forced into using, it's not forced. It was required. It's no longer necessary. The monopoly has been broken. People we now have choice. And with like the open source revolution and interoperability of services and the ability that things are now digital, they're programmable. You can start and now with smart contracts and if then do this scenarios, we can encode a lot of these basic relationships. So yes, I'm very very optimistic around that, and I think there is a lot of one of the blessings of this whole thing is hopefully we can use this as an opportunity to strategically think about deploying effective privacy by design, consent driven solutions, as opposed to, but there is a major risk right now of shit just being jammed down our throats and everybody lining up for it. Just wait until they come out with the vaccine. They're just going to jam that on us. They're going to make people line up for it. Everyone's going to line up for it.
We're all going to do it.
Everyone's just going to do it. And we're not going to have any visibility into what's in it, period. And this is this is where there's a big blockchain, supply chain, and healthcare kind of, connotation as well. We have the ability to really be able to prove that here's the code. Okay. Everything on here kind of checks out. Anyways.
Oh, now, I got to ask you this because we're going to go down this rabbit hole for sure, because it's the hottest, not the hottest, it's the biggest thing going on right now, right? Is this whole virus and the situation that we're all in with all the lockdowns happening, shelter in places that are happening, stay in your home and stay safe that are happening, those kind of things that are going on, but yet Home Depots are still open, or, state services are still open, the things that are deemed important, Michigan here just went on stay home, stay safe, actually today, this morning at midnight, it started. But, you to hear this question, to hear this statement come out a day or two ago, to say that we're going to stop doing this because the solution can't be worse than the problem, making it sound like the economy of the United States and money is more important than the lives of others. And I'm struggling with that. I'm still trying to wrap my head around that mentality. Why would somebody want to even consider that having this money is more important than having a healthy nation, physically? And I'm struggling with it myself, because it's I have opportunity to go to a job and work for a day and make some money. I need this money that I could make to pay my bills that I still have to pay. So is it irresponsible of me to go do so? Right? Is it irresponsible from me in all regards, because it's now putting my family at risk? It's putting me at risk. And it's putting other people that might come in contact with me on this job at risk, right? And vice versa. So, how do we make these choices? How do we, make these decisions, and move forward? And that's what I'm struggling with right now.
Well, and why, man, this is a really tough one, because there's a lot of fear around this, and around the transmissibility and the virality and the contagiousness of this COVID-19 novel coronavirus, which still isn't anywhere near as deadly or destructive as the seasonal flu is, but it's the aura and the generally accepted kind of rationale on it is it's much more deadly. And like, Gavin Newsom here in California is told that, oh man, he said over 22 million, he like said it in like a statement, 22 million Californians are going to get coronavirus. Like,
Right.
you fucking kidding me, dude?
That's
Everybody's
insane.
like locked up. Like, you've shut off everybody, and you're telling us that over half the population is going to get it. Like, that's just pure straight fear mongering.
It is. There's no question about that. But you think about the flu virus, right? The flu virus that we compare it to, like you just did, back when it first came out, back when this flu strain that first came out, is there a possibility that it started this way, that it started not as a pandemic, but it started out as something that just kept expanding over time and then became as deadly as the flu is today, right? So we're looking at a virus that had mutated or that had been released back in December. However, we want to extrapolate how it came to be, right? It's been on a Lysol can. So the actual coronavirus has been around for a long time, but COVID-19 hasn't, right? So this strain, right? This strain of disease or virus, what are the chances of this becoming the next flu, right? That we continually get every year, because it doesn't go away. It hibernates or whatever during the summer months and then comes back in the winter months. So it doesn't seem like we're going to get rid of it.
Lots of questions. I mean, and it's a coronavirus,
Yeah.
and it is just another form of the flu, but this is a novel one we're being told it's a novel one, so it's different. But it's like, I would just say that this reaction could have been done for anything. Could have been done for the COVID-18, for the COVID-17, for the 16. Like this play that's this if the world is a football game, the play that's currently being called is in the playbook, and it's been called,
Right.
and it's in action right now, and there's no turning back. We can't do this. We just have to deal with this play and understand this thing. Understand that if you get lots of vitamin D, if you get lots of vitamin C, your body is not going to let it in. You're not going to get it. You're going to be fine. You're going to be able to fight it. Like there are precautions that one can take beyond this. Now, like I was talking to someone up in North Bay, Ontario, Canada earlier today, who they have no confirmed cases in it. It's a town of 50,000 people. It's like, it's very isolated, but they're like fully shut down too. Like, in the Cayman Islands, they're fully shut down, no cases. Like they've told everybody, like no going to work and no swimming in your pools as well, which seemed like a weird one. But like, we're going to see these isolated communities all around the world that have zero risk of this going into this same mode. And like it's I don't know. It's like no country wants to get left behind and be ostracized for not taking these hardcore actions. I'm not saying these actions are bad. Look, we're doing it. This is a great social kind of, not great. I mean, this is a working social experiment of having everybody kind of come in and spend this time, and massive digital connection and new work habits being created and new experiences being created. But this has to end at some point too. Like,
Yes.
we have to not be afraid to talk to our friends and meet with and go out for dinner and have people over and be the social beings and creatures that we are. So
that's the real concern here for sure, is like, what does this change psychologically for everybody? Because we live with the flu on a daily basis. There's a chance that we could get sick anytime we go talk to somebody. And again, like you said, I'm not trying to say that this isn't somehow worse than the flu, but it's just that same concept where right now we're not necessarily afraid to go talk to somebody. Maybe if they're hacking and coughing, we might be like, okay, you should stay home. I'm going to stay away from you for a couple of days so I don't get the flu. But
as we do with all of our
end of the world.
Exactly. Who are sick. I don't want to hang out with my sick friends.
Right. Exactly. That's
just a
common thing.
We're always sick.
Yeah, I've got 3 kids. They're
always
bringing
stress.
something home new like every week. I get sick like every 6 months. It's whatever. I'm surprised I don't get sick every 2 weeks, to be quite honest with you. And it's one of those things. But so how does this change going forward? Do we all of a sudden start becoming hermits, and we're so afraid to go talk to Jimmy because he may have at some point in the past 6 months gone to some country where maybe he contracted the COVID 25, or like, is this just our life now? Or are we going to go back to like living where we should be, which is what we need to do, like you say, but are we, and how different does it look even if we go partially back? So I don't know. It's
And
a
it's,
strange thing. It's a strange thing.
a solid state of mind too helps. And being under all this fear creates all this stress, and stress is wreaks havoc on your immune system. It impacts your sleep, not getting enough sleep. You're not eating right because you're stressed out, you're worried. All your chemicals, everything chemically is just totally kibosh in your body, and that's not helping matters either. So, it's a balance. And I think at the end of the day, we need to make sure we continue to educate ourselves, and not from one source, but from multiple sources, and use your kind of rationale to try and figure out what sounds more plausible or what sounds more truthful than the other. Because yes, there is a lot of fear mongering going on. There's a lot of control happening that might not be reversible at this point, but we'll see what time tells. But the underlying thing I was trying to say was that we definitely need to educate ourselves on things, so that one of the biggest causes of fear is uncertainty and lack of knowledge. People were afraid of cryptocurrencies because they don't know about them. They're not educated on them, right? Or they're afraid of
they're just trusting the source that's telling them, like,
yes,
this is for drug dealers and money launderers and pedophiles and this, that, whatever the fuck they want
right.
to call it. But again, like, this is the importance of like critical thinking. It's about like, push yourself, go to the left, go to the right, go up, go down, like polarize to stabilize. Like, if don't like not listen to the right argument because you identify with the left. Like, don't like close your mind to that, to like, another point of view. Like, explore, like, think critically about this, like, question things, ask why, like, like look into it. It doesn't mean like, you go, it doesn't mean like as soon as you see something like, that tickles your, tickles your gut or your heart or whatever, you go there and you spread it across all your social media. Like, I think one, like a good campaign that was, or a good like video, or a good example was that video from like Thailand of like the wet market with all the animals, like, that were for sale. It was a disgusting video, but it was proclaimed as the truth about this is where COVID came from, Asians eating dogs and bats and snakes. And it's a disgusting video, but like, that one tapped into the emotion of people and started a ball rolling.
Yeah, those balls are never a good thing when they get rolling, and it's unfortunately so easy to get them rolling these days, especially with the internet and social media. And it just takes off and then you're done.
Well, and with mainstream media programming too.
Also
and
true.
With, like, and with like, coordinated headline attack,
right,
along with like, censored media and censored social media and funnel and like, and aggregating. Like, a lot of people are like, trusting in just Google News as a source. I don't like, where do you go to get reliable information anymore? It's like, you have to be clever and understand the biases and the structures of where these sources are coming from. A lot of them are highly subjective and presenting themselves as objective. That's why it's important to have actual discussions with people, like, and keep open minds towards it, as opposed to just being, fed by the tube.
Seriously, so many people they read their news on on the internet or watch their TV in the morning. Usually Facebook is probably their preferred news source, I would guess. And then they just shut out the rest of the world for a while and just continue to bitch about the news that they read, instead of actually, like you say, having conversations and really discussing and using logical thought to assess what you just read instead of just absorbing. But let's take this away from all this horrible shit that's going down in the world. And let's talk about the most important issue over the last 6 years. You got 2 of the wrong size of bright yellow hunter boots from Nordstrom. How the hell did that happen? And are you still wandering around with 2 mismatched boots, or did you get this correct?
He can't remember.
I can't remember. It's just gone.
I got 2 mismatched Nordstrom boots.
Yeah,
You
they
did
were
at
yellow.
some point. Bright yellow ones.
Bright yellow. God, I wish I had a pair of bright yellow boots.
It looked
Damn.
like they were little kids' boots. It looked like maybe you had
Kids'
bought them
boots,
for
yeah.
a little kid. Or our research department was way off.
I don't know. It says Kyle.
It says Kyle
Kemper.
J. Kemper.
It's
Yeah.
on you. We're-
Nordstrom. Y'all sold
this
me
one on
2
you.
different size of hunter's boots.
Oh
Fail.
yeah. Ha. Yeah, I know. I went and got I got the right size boots. Yeah, those were Ryan kids' boots for my children. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, that came and went. Unimportant.
Minor detail.
Minor detail. Yeah, not the most important thing of the last 6 years.
I don't know. I
it's
consider
something
it the
that
most
happened.
important thing of the last 6 years.
Right.
I'm
exactly.
upset for you. I'm very offended. I'm glad it was fixed, though.
Well,
Right.
I have one of my feet is actually a little bit bigger than the other, so I wish I could get
2 different size shoes. Yeah.
a 10.
Yeah.
Like, that'd be a great combo.
Same here.
Hell
I need
yeah.
a 12 and a half and a 13. I'll be set.
Right. Kyle,
This is-
okay. So what's the funniest thing you've seen or heard in the last week?
Well, I don't know.
Is there anything that comes to mind?
Yeah, totally. Like, let me pull this up. It's so good. We'll just put it right on. We'll put it right on here.
Perfect.
Let me go to my profile. I tweeted this thing out. Yeah, this. So here, let me go here. Go share screen. Go there. So this is the funniest thing that I saw. Was this video? So let's just full screen that. Speaking about what we were talking about.
Yeah. Oh shit.
Yeah, we get it. Like, look at these guys.
Oh god. That's awesome.
Oh, thank gosh for memes and meme culture.
Right?
Like the power of that too. And then we've also we also launched this too. I don't know if you guys saw
Jacuzzi, the party
this,
scientist.
but here, let me just do this quick.
Okay.
This is a challenge we
Aloha
launched.
from Vancouver. I'm Jacuzzi, the party scientist.
And I'm Gary, co-founder of the Decentralized Dance Party.
It's a pandemic. People are panicked, socially isolated, and afraid. In these times of darkness, we believe what the world needs more than ever is joy, love, and light.
This is why we started the Live Dance Challenge.
For maintaining our mental health, for staying connected to our communities, and for letting go of all the stress. This is how it works. Put on your favorite song, the one that you can't resist dancing to, and go live on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram.
Then dance like the fate of humanity depends upon it and enjoy it fully. Finally, nominate at least 5 others to do the challenge.
We've done
Love
that.
it.
If each of us can inspire only 3 more people to go.
So that's the live dance challenge. So I've been working with
That's awesome.
working with those 2 guys on that. Let me stop the share here.
Hell yeah,
That's
that's
amazing.
that is great. I love that, and it's like the ice bucket challenge, but better. That's totally cool. I love
Everyone's at home. Everyone's isolated.
Right.
And dance.
Right.
Everybody's going a little crazy. Like, yeah, it's perfect. Mitch, you're up first.
You know
I
how
wanna
many
see it.
people will so have to go get dressed first? I can only imagine how many people are still in their pajamas right now in the evening from today. I have friends that are like, oh yeah, I think I'll shower today. It's like, oh god, come on.
You're still around some other people.
It's bad when your cat and your dog avoid you, right? Kyle, this has been amazing having you on the show. Thank you so much for joining today. To the audience, we hope you guys enjoyed it. We hope you took something from it, had a little bit of a laugh and some education along the way. And look up the SwissKey wallet. Kyle, good luck to your ventures with that. Look forward to seeing more of that and more of you.
Thank you so much, gentlemen, and thank you to everybody who's tuned in or tunes in later. My absolute pleasure to be here and sharing this. And and if you have been inside all day, stay home, stay safe, but also feel free to go out, get some sunlight, get a little bit of exercise, keep space. But remember, vitamin D is one of the best protections you can get, and that doesn't need to be bought in caplet form or capsule form. The sun gives it to you naturally. Yep. The best way to get it is full body exposure to the sun by sweating. 15 minutes sweating in the sun, and you'll get more vitamin D than you can get in a whole bottle of those supplements. So,
good information.
And the next best thing is a decentralized dance party. I want to see some videos.
Yes.
And the live dance challenge too.
And a Friday night rap battle.
You guys
can't forget the Friday night rap battles.
Yeah.
We'll just go down the list. We'll plug everything. What else we got?
That's right. What else?
Coin flip ATMs.
Coin flip ATMs.
Better get coin flip ATMs, coinflip.tech, Brinker Group if you need to build some stuff on the moon so you can get away from this crazy world that we're living in.
Right.
Yeah, there we go. Got them all out of the way. We love you all.
Right. You guys have a great day. We'll talk to you soon, Kyle.
All right, gents. Lots
Peace,
of love.
brother.
Take it easy, man.
Love.